All right, so today I wanted to start by talking about this article of True North titled Canadians' Paychecks to Shrink as CPP Payroll Tax Increases 9.3 in 2021. Now, um, I'm not going to read the article. I mean, it's not too long. You can go check it out. Basically, the the payroll tax is tied to the average income of Canadians. So it's designed to where if the average income goes up, then the CPP payroll tax goes up. And that's something that happened in 2021. Now, again, the big problem being is that the average income didn't go up because the average person's actually making more. The average income went up because a lot of low income people got laid off. And again, on top of that, a lot of the higher income people, their incomes actually went up. So again, that is why uh, the CPP payroll tax technically should be going up. Now, where's the big hiccup? Well, the big hiccup is very obvious in that the average income of the average Canadian didn't go up. The average income of the average working Canadian went up, and that's a big problem considering you have a very large number of people that are unemployed. And as they're coming back into the workforce, or maybe they already are, I mean, probably not considering how many places are on lockdown right now, but as people come back into the workforce, most likely with the same amount of pay that they were getting before, now they're getting less pay because the CPP is going to be going up. Now, technically, the Liberals can cancel this, right? They can just say, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Now, again, the first thing I would point out as far as this goes is that if the Liberals don't um, not go through with this, then I think it's just another nail in the coffin of them not caring about the poor and the middle class like they always like to claim to. Because again, this whole virus situation, it's so annoying and just it's so hard, terrible to deal with because the moral of the story when it comes to the whole virus situation is that it's just one gut punch after another. It's just one punch after another that just when you think that you're finally through the worst of it, you get stuff like this, right? You get stuff like this. Just when you think, oh yeah, we're good to go, yeah, they're gonna lock down again. And again, it's just like I say, it's so boring having to deal with the same stuff over and over again because it's this stuff is so predictable now. Like it's so predictable. Like and it's really bad, especially now that the a lot of these politicians have been. And this is the thing that I forgot to bring up yesterday that I think really should be brought up and really astounds me now, as I was thinking about it this morning, and that why is everybody so up in arms right now all of a sudden? Like, why is everybody up in arms right now all of a sudden? Like, you have a handful of these UCP, actually maybe more than a handful. I think it's a pretty good amount, enough that we definitely should be worried. Um, but we've been seeing stories like this for 6 months, 7 months. Like basically ever since the BLM protests, every pretty much everybody has agreed that we shouldn't be overly concerned about the virus, right? Like this is the thing that I brought up since the BLM protests. But again, any of these idiots that are paranoid about the virus but supported the BLM protests, again, you have no principles, you have no moral or ethical spine whatsoever. Your your worldview is entirely shaped around what can advance my political worldview, right? That is entirely what these people's worldview is designed around. And again, the reason they support the BLM protest is obvious. It's a far left movement. But the reason that a lot of these people are on board with the lockdowns is number one, they're people that are they're low information voters, right? They're incredibly susceptible to propaganda. They've been convinced that the virus that's death rate comparable to the flu. The vast majority of people dying there are in nursing homes, and the vast majority of the ones that aren't are people with serious underlying conditions. Again, these are the same people that think that schools should be closed, even though the virus is less deadly than the flu for those people that age, and the concept of asymptomatic spread has been shown to be either non-existent or incredibly rare. Like, again, this is the biggest problem facing Western society, I think, right now, is that we have a epidemic of a pandemic, or what would it be, countrywide epidemic of low information voters. That is low information people. That is the biggest problem facing us right now, is that we have so many people that are just so ignorant. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. And again, you see like bringing it around full circle here. You see stuff like this, and hardly anybody cares. Hardly anybody cares. You know, this is going to mean hundreds of dollars out of people, the average person's paycheck, and nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. It just absolutely astounds me. It absolutely astounds me. And yet these are the same people that are going to turn around and complain that, oh, we need more welfare because I can't afford my bills, and you know, the gap between the rich and the poor. Oh my God! Like again, the people are just so ignorant. It is not even funny. Like it absolutely astounds me. It absolutely astounds me. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to bring up is from I am the actual ET on Twitter here saying, how much longer will people be willing to surrender their rights for not even their safety, but for the illusion of it? Now, again, this is the chart comparing California to Florida. Again, anybody who isn't aware of those situations, Florida is a state that has very little restrictions. California is a state that has a lot of restrictions, and yet the curve for California is a lot more pronounced, right? For anybody who can't see, the curve for California is a lot more pronounced. So again, this is the reason why I just can't stand having to go over this stuff over and over again. But again, if nobody speaks up about it, we're going to be locked down and in infinitum. Like we may never get out of lockdown if people don't speak up. And this is the reason why we're still in lockdown, is we have so many people who still think this is going to be a temporary thing. Yet we've had the evidence seems to be rather clear at this point that this virus may never go away. In fact, if I had to guess, I don't think it will. It may mutate into something that's a lot less. It probably will eventually mutate into something that doesn't spread nearly as easy. But again, the likelihood of this just going away, especially within the next year or so, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So again, this is the thing that you have to bring up to the lockdown zealots, is that they genuinely believe that, oh, if you just had a 1 month lockdown, we'd be good to go. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case, because you'd lock down for a month, the cases would go down, because again, if these people had it their way, they would literally want you arrested if you went outside. You'd open back up. The borders would open back up, whether they like it or not, because again, people are going to get in one way or the other, especially in Canada. Um, Stuff has to be trucked in, stuff has to be flown in. And you know, apparently closing borders is racist, so we can't do that. And then the virus would come right back. The only way that as a society we would completely eliminate the virus is if literally every country on earth, or at the very least every major one, lockdown at the same time. And by lockdown, I mean literally like throw you in jail if you leave your house kind of lockdown. And this is the other thing that really astounds me about these people, is that they claim to be so worried about fascism, but yet on the other hand, they want people arrested for leaving their house for this kind of stuff. Like these people are so ignorant, or at the very they are so ignorant it's not even funny, or they have such terrible intentions for society that we should be incredibly scared of these people if that is actually their intentions, right? So again, the whole point of this being here is, I mean, number one, there's no data that show that the lockdowns work. Like the fact that we have to keep going over this over and over again is absolutely astounding. And number two, it's a confession that the people that want lockdowns are never going to admit they're wrong. This is why I keep saying that we're never going to get out of lockdown, or at the very least, never permanently get out of lockdown. They may, you know, keep doing their on-off lockdown cycles, but we're never going to get out of this whole situation until enough people wake up and realize that there's no data that show that the lockdowns work, at least no clear data, and we actually push back. So this is from Alex Berenson, and saying, as of Friday afternoon, CDC.gov had already learned that of 3,150 people who'd received the vaccine had been unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, or required care from doctor or healthcare professionals. So again, I'm not going to go too into detail for this because it may get the video banned. But I mean, long story short, I don't know how you can't be at least um, somewhat scared, somewhat worried about this vaccine. I really don't. And a lot of people are too. A lot of people are. But again, the thing that really astounds me about these people that are skeptical of these vaccines is that they're skeptical of vaccines for the same reasons that people have always been skeptical of vaccines. It's just more pronounced. Like the reason that people were skeptical of vaccines prior to this vaccine is the same reasons. Like there's no double-blind, placebo-controlled trials that have been done on vaccines. That doesn't happen, right? They don't have to. They don't even have to prove that it's safe, right? They don't even have to prove that it's safe. Again, so the reason that people are skeptical of this vaccine is the same reason that people have always been skeptical of vaccines, which is what really astounds me, I think. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is from David Milley here saying, is anyone ready for a less than peaceful protest yet? Or do you still believe that laughing and marching are going to do the trick? People need to get angry, and there are fellow angry Canadians out there. Now, again, I've brought this concept up before. Do I think that people should get violent? No. But do I think that if we keep going down this route, people are going to get violent? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, again, like I say, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but again, when you back people into a corner, when you take away their livelihood, and again, like for any idiots out there that think, oh, it's just a mask, no, you are one of the biggest pieces of garbage in the world if you're still saying that. Because again, this isn't it's just a mask anymore. This is literally, oh, it's just can I earn a living? It's just can I see my family on Christmas, right? It's just can I leave my house, right? It's just can I decide whether or not something should be forced into my body or not? Like again, it's we are so far past that it's not even funny. So again, I think people are really gonna if governments don't lay off these lockdowns, I think some bad stuff's gonna go down because again, like the people that you should be most scared of in society are the people when it comes to these situations are the people that have nothing to lose. Because if you have nothing to lose, well, you have nothing to lose, right? Like look at the Killdozer guy. Like that's a comparable example of stuff like this too. Like if you keep taking away from, and this is the big problem too, is that there's no data that backs it up too. Like if we genuinely were saving tons of lives by doing this, then it would make sense. Well, no, it wouldn't make sense, but at least you could understand where these people are coming from. Again, don't get me wrong, I don't think that would make sense under any circumstance at this point, but at least the point I was trying to make is that at least you could understand where these people were coming from. Like at least you could understand where they're coming from, but you're not. There's no data that show that the lockdowns reduce cases. There's no data that show that the lockdowns reduce deaths. If you're worried about reducing deaths, then the entirety of your focus as a government should be on old people. Shutting down, if you have governments talking about shutting down schools, you can tell right then and there that the goal isn't saving lives. The goal isn't saving lives. If they're talking about shutting down businesses, the goal isn't saving lives. If they're talking about shutting down gyms or churches, the goal isn't saving lives. The goal is power. The goal is authoritarianism. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you check out those links below. Follow me on those other platforms. If you want to donate, you can do that as well. Again, I appreciate whatever support I can get. But like I say, check out those links. Stay tuned for more and have a good day.